After spending 13 seasons in Milwaukee, Giannis is officially starting a new chapter. He's on his way to Miami, where he'll team up with Bam Adebayo under head coach Erik Spoelstra in a move that could completely change the balance of power in the Eastern Conference. But major trades aren't judged by star power alone. So how well does this pairing actually fit? Was making this deal the right decision? And does this version of the Heat have what it takes to make a serious championship run? In today's video, presented by Prize Picks, we're breaking it all down, beginning with what this Heat team is likely to look like on the floor. Last season, Miami completely overhauled its offensive identity, building a system unlike almost anything else around the league. Everything centered around two major principles. The first was pace. The Heat wanted to push the ball every chance they got, looking to attack in transition, even after opponents made baskets. Their goal was to turn nearly every possession into a fast break opportunity. By doing that, they forced opposing defenses to sprint back, scramble into cross matches, and defend from uncomfortable positions. That naturally opened driving lanes for aggressive downhill attacks. In general, speed is incredibly difficult to defend when it's controlled and purposeful. Miami embraced that philosophy in the half court as well. Rather than slowing things down, dribbling endlessly, waiting for a screen, or dumping the ball into the post, every player was expected to make quick decisions, and everyone had the freedom to do so. To reinforce that style, they adopted Greg Popovich's famous 0.5-second rule. Once an advantage had been created and the defense rotated to help, off-ball players immediately had three options: shoot, pass, or attack. The idea was to keep the defense constantly rotating without giving it time to recover. The result was an offense built around drive and kick basketball, always searching for the highest quality shot available. Thanks to both their transition emphasis and their quick decision-making in the half court, Miami became the fastest offense in the NBA. Excluding second-chance possessions, they averaged roughly 12.5 seconds per offensive possession. The last team to play that quickly was the 2019 Oklahoma City Thunder, led by Russell Westbrook. But pace was only half of what made this offense unique. The second key principle was floor spacing. What truly separated Miami wasn't simply how fast they played, it was how differently they approached offense in the half court. More specifically, they almost completely abandoned the traditional pick and roll. Last season, the average NBA team ran around 34 pick and rolls that directly led to a shot attempt. The Timberwolves ranked 29th, averaging roughly 27. Miami ranked last by an enormous margin, using only 13 pick and rolls per game. Yes, just 13. Instead of relying on screens, the Heat built everything around creating driving lanes and attacking defenders one-on-one. As mentioned earlier, every player was expected to handle the basketball and make smart decisions. That also meant everyone had the confidence to isolate when the opportunity presented itself. Unlike many isolation-heavy offenses, though, Miami never became stagnant. Players weren't standing still waiting for one star to create an opening. If the initial ball handler couldn't attack, the ball immediately moved to the next teammate, continuing around the perimeter until someone found an advantage. At the same time, the players without the ball never stopped moving. Whether they were relocating behind the three-point line, cutting through the lane, or clearing out toward the baseline, their movement occupied help defenders and opened more space for the ball handler. From there, it became simple basketball. Beat your defender, force help to rotate, make the correct pass, and suddenly the defense is scrambling. That philosophy of live dribble downhill isolation basketball blended perfectly with Miami's fast pace. Many of those attacks happened early in possessions, before defenses had fully recovered, or while opponents were still dealing with cross matches. They didn't need to slow the game down searching for mismatches because their biggest advantage came from the space created through speed, movement, and quick decisions. That approach allowed Miami to build a surprisingly effective offense, despite lacking elite offensive talent across the roster. They had several very good shooters, but they weren't loaded with elite creators or dominant ball handlers. More importantly, they didn't have that one superstar who could simply take over every difficult possession whenever the offense stalled. Even with those limitations, Miami still finished with a 117 offensive rating, ranking 12th in the NBA.
The reason all of this matters is that now you have to picture Giannis operating inside this exact system. But before we dive into that, I want to quickly thank PrizePicks for sponsoring today's video. If you're able to play responsibly and have the means to do so, PrizePicks is America's #1 daily fantasy sports picks app.
So if you're looking for a way to get involved this summer, use code HMA to get started. One of the biggest WNBA matchups of the season is almost here with the Commissioner's Cup final. I shared a few of my favorite picks in the last video, but I've got a couple more that I really like. One of them is Chelsea Gray's assist total. Over her last 5 games, she's averaging 9 assists per contest, including an 8-assist performance against the Liberty. This time, we only need her to record 7. On the New York side, I'm also liking Breanna Stewart as a facilitator. She's been doing an excellent job creating for teammates lately, recording at least 3 assists in each of her last 4 games. I'm expecting that streak to continue. That's all there is to it. Choose the stat you like, decide whether it'll go over or under, and your lineup is set. When you sign up for PrizePicks using code HMA and make your first $5 play, you'll instantly receive $50 in lineup funds. Download the app today, get started, and let me know your favorite picks in the comments below. Now, getting back to Miami. Earlier, I mentioned that the biggest focus of the Heat's offense last season was pace. Even at 32 years old, Giannis is still the most dominant transition player in basketball. His combination of size, length, athleticism, and ability to attack open space makes him nearly impossible to stop once he builds momentum. Entire defenses have to collapse into the paint just to keep him away from the rim, creating instant advantages for everyone else. The interesting part is that it's been several years since we've seen Giannis consistently play in an offense built around speed. During his MVP seasons, Milwaukee ranked among the league leaders in transition opportunities. Over time, though, they gradually slowed down, falling toward the middle of the pack before finishing among the bottom teams in pace last season. By slowing everything down, essentially the Bucks limited the impact of their greatest weapon. With Miami, that should change immediately. The structure of the Heat's offense naturally injects speed and energy into every possession, allowing Giannis to do what he does better than almost anyone: dominate in transition. Once the game settles into the half-court, the fit still makes plenty of sense. Giannis has always been at his best attacking from the middle of the floor with a live dribble, and that's exactly what Miami's offensive system is designed to encourage. When Giannis gets downhill with space in front of him, he's one of the most unstoppable players the league has ever seen. He's simply too powerful for a single defender to handle, forcing opponents to load the paint early or send aggressive double teams. The real question isn't Giannis himself, it's whether Miami's supporting cast can consistently create enough space and punish those defensive rotations through their cutting, movement, and positioning around the floor. Personally, I don't think the team's lack of elite shooting will clog driving lanes as much as some people expect. Bam Adebayo has started experimenting more with the three-point shot, taking them with greater confidence. While the efficiency hasn't fully arrived yet, defenders still have to acknowledge that possibility, which opens up different spacing opportunities. You'll often see Bam starting possessions at the top of the key, on the wing, or even in the corner, where he's capable of shooting, attacking off the dribble, or cutting toward the basket. As long as Miami keeps the offense moving instead of becoming stagnant, Bam should still function as an effective floor spacer whenever Giannis has the ball. The same concept works in reverse. Giannis isn't someone defenses worry about as a catch-and-shoot threat, but you also can't ignore him when he's positioned on the perimeter. The moment defenders lose track of him, he'll cut hard to the rim or explode into open space. And once he catches the ball with momentum, there are very few players capable of slowing him down. As long as he fully commits to Miami's motion-heavy offense, his movement alone should generate plenty of space. Once again, the bigger question becomes whether the rest of the roster can consistently capitalize on those openings. The challenge is that acquiring Giannis came at a cost. Miami had to give up both its best perimeter shooter and its best downhill driver.
On top of that, there's a real possibility they'll also lose Norman Powell in free agency, removing another player who offered an ideal blend of shooting and rim pressure. Basketball analyst Ben Taylor from Thinking Basketball created a statistic called offensive load, which estimates how often a player is directly involved offensively over 100 possessions. When you compare that alongside his box creation metric, which estimates how many shots a player creates for teammates, you get a clear picture of Miami's offensive approach. Last season, the Heat spread responsibility extremely well instead of depending too heavily on one or two stars. Even so, their primary offensive engines were Tyler Herro, Norman Powell, and Jaime Jaquez. Moving forward, Miami can either place more offensive responsibility on players like Davion Mitchell, Nikola Jovic, or Pele Larson, or simply lean further into Giannis-centric basketball, a style that, throughout his career, has allowed him to carry some of the heaviest offensive workloads the NBA has ever seen.
The downside to relying on that approach is that it shifts Miami away from the identity that made this system successful in the first place. One of the biggest reasons the Heat's offense worked so well was that every player on the floor could initiate possessions, create an advantage, and make quick decisions. That style should still be effective throughout the regular season, but once playoff basketball begins, this roster simply doesn't have enough proven creators. In my opinion, that means they'll end up putting far more offensive responsibility on Giannis than they'd ideally prefer. We've seen this pattern play out repeatedly in recent postseasons. The moment elite defenses take away your primary creator, you need answers. You need multiple ways to attack, different methods of getting the ball into dangerous spots, and most importantly, players capable of making difficult shots when defenses tighten up. Right now, Miami doesn't have enough of those players. The blueprint for a top 10 regular season offense is absolutely there, and Giannis fits the system almost perfectly. But if the Heat want to become a true title contender, they'll need to spend the offseason adding players who can create their own offense, consistently beat defenders one-on-one, and stretch the floor with reliable three-point shooting alongside Giannis. That being said, I think it's pretty clear where this team's identity will come from: its defense. One benefit of moving on from players like Tyler Herro, Norman Powell, and Jaime Jaquez Jr. is that it opens rotation spots for stronger defenders, and Miami has no shortage of those. Whether it's Davion Mitchell or Drew Smith in the backcourt, they'll almost always have an elite point of attack defender applying constant pressure to opposing guards and fighting over screens. On the wings, they have good size with players like Andrew Wiggins and Nikola Jovic. Then, anchoring everything in the middle, there's Bam Adebayo. Bam is the foundation of Miami's entire defensive system because of his rare versatility. Against certain matchups, he can comfortably switch onto all 5 positions. Other nights, he'll hedge aggressively at the level of the screen, while in different coverages, he'll drop back to protect the paint. Few centers in basketball can handle all of those responsibilities as effectively as he can. That makes Giannis's role especially fascinating. Over the last few seasons, his defensive intensity hasn't quite been as consistent. He's gotten older, battled injuries, and played through some disappointing team seasons. The night-to-night impact isn't quite what it was when he was regularly competing for Defensive Player of the Year. Even so, we've still seen him raise his level when the stakes are highest, and the one thing that hasn't changed is his presence around the rim. As a weak-side help defender rotating over from the backline, very few players in the league alter shots better than Giannis. Over the past 2 seasons, opponents have shot roughly 9% worse than expected at the basket when Giannis has been the primary contesting defender. That's an element Miami simply hasn't had at any point during the Bam Adebayo era. The front office didn't believe the previous version of this roster had a realistic championship ceiling. They believe that changes when you add one of the 5 best players in the world. It's also easy to forget that before his injury, Giannis was putting together arguably the best offensive season of his career. Now he's entering a system that should maximize his strengths even more efficiently. The fit feels incredibly natural on both ends of the floor.
Now the focus shifts to adding more talent around this core. Will those moves happen this offseason, or will they have to wait until 2027 or even 2028? Only time will answer. What seems clear, though, is that the Heat have a foundation worth building around. If Giannis stays healthy and Miami can add more legitimate offensive creators, this team should once again have a real chance to compete for an NBA championship.